James Mangold and Harrison Ford engaged in classic Hollywood behaviors of hypocrisy, insincerity, and condescension. Sure, Harrison Ford started by thanking the fans.
I've been honored to be your Indiana Jones.
Outflanked by the director attacking them, deriding fans as divisive if they don't like his deconstruction of Indiana Jones. Don't you understand? Movies are a continuum. A character starts in one place and ends up in another one. The peasants thank you for explaining what a character arc is. I don't know how I would have grasped it without your help. I am still training in how to use rudimentary tools.
Have you lost your reptilian-ass mind?
But due to this complexity, if people want to be divisive in the age of social media, then they can focus on where the character starts or where they end. Whereas Harrison's tracing an arc, he's changing through the whole picture. It depends where you're landing and where you're pointing your finger on the timeline. He's basically accusing people of faking opinions so they can get likes on social media, all because they can't comprehend how a story works. And what's worse is you don't even understand your own story. He started as a useless old geezer who had to drink in the morning just to get through the day, and ended wanting to top himself.
Thank you for welcoming the man with the hat into your lives for generations.
I'm sorry, but I don't think we've gone through that great a character arc change there. Unless you mean at the end where he's punched in the face and forced to get back with his ex, which if anything, is going to make him worse. Remember, this is the same guy that explained to Variety how he wanted viewers to be disappointed by the shock of cutting from Indy as a younger man to Indy in his late 70s. Because it would explain to the audience that growing older in life is disappointing. Despite the fact that Harrison Ford says he loves being older and so clearly isn't disappointed by it. But at this point, James Mangold actually making sense is the least of our worries. Because he also spoke about how life is full of peaks and valleys. So why does a segment of the audience want these legacy characters to be infallible? I just can't figure out why anyone would want such little drama. Who are these people in the audience that just don't want to be entertained? Don't you understand I made a masterpiece for you and you just can't comprehend it?
It's meant the world to me to share Indy with all of you.
What could be more drama than a beloved character getting old and wanted to jump off a cliff? Make way, Phoebe Waller-Bridge is here if you can just join the line for the box of doom. She needs to replace you now.
As always, I'll see you at the movies.
I mean, he's repeatedly said that he's not interested in Waller-Bridge taking over the series, but Kathleen Kennedy said she's up for it, and he wrote the movie for that to happen, and so quite frankly, I'm going to trust his actions rather than his words.
Are snakes, of course.
But it's not just your inability to understand the story why he thinks that you don't like the movie. Oh no, it's that you've got an anxiety problem. His movie is so good, it makes people anxious at the sheer quality of it all. There's a point where these characters become symbols, so there becomes this anxiety when you examine the humanity of a hero, that you somehow weaken them, or make them sad, lonely, depressed, and useless. Why can't I just take something that you care about, and punch it repeatedly in the face, crap all over it, and throw it off a cliff?
I'll see you at the movies.
Why do you have a problem with that? I can't understand. Anyone get the impression that Mangold might suffer from an empathy problem? Definitely lacks the ability to put himself into somebody else's shoes. It's the age-old question of, could you imagine how you'd feel if somebody destroyed a character that you loved? And you're like, well, someone didn't destroy a character that I loved. Like, no, but can you imagine it? And then it goes, the problem with my movie is that good drama gives a hero a problem. If it's a movie about a beautiful hero who is capable of anything and is virtually indestructible without any issues or concerns, then you have a fashion video with action. Yes, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. You literally wrote the problem you're talking about into your own movie, and yet you lack the self-awareness to realize it.
Another case of a man taking credit for a woman's work.
People need an arc, someone needs to struggle. They can't just go around the world carefree, not worrying about everything and just being perfect at everything they do. Not unless that apes Phoebe, are you insane? Of course she has to be better than him, she's replacing him in the next film. I mean, I can't be bothered, no one's gonna replace him, I swear. But if you want all this summed up, he can't comprehend why people are crazy, because character arcs need to exist, and it's not good to have Mary Sue's in your movie. I don't know if you realise this, mate, but that's what people have been saying about your film. You can't just say reflect, no take backsies plus infinity. That's not how this works.
It's afraid. It's afraid!
And that's the problem. On the one hand, you've got James Mangold, the director, coming out and saying that the fans are idiots, and the people who critique his movie and don't like it just can't comprehend his genius. Who are they to not like my movie? They don't even understand character arcs. I'm not destroying the character, I'm just giving him a character arc. And if I was destroying it, that'd be a good thing. Whereas on the other, we've got Harrison Ford giving an apology to the fans, really caring about them.
It's been one of the greatest joys of my career.
Or at least he was, 2 days ago. The issue with it being saying 2 days ago is we've already seen the box office, with Indiana Jones moving up to 248 million globally. Well, it had a budget of 300 to 350 million. So it's made 248 when it needs to make closer to 800 or 900. So with that, I think we know why this thank you video came out. Desperation. Or as one review of the movie put it, it's a shabby counterfeit.
Snakes.
Because we all know where these special messages come from, right? I mean, it's worked for other people. Specifically, Tom Cruise. And as I said here, you can try and imitate Tom Cruise's messages, but they don't work when you make a film intent on Indy's destruction. You can't take something people care about, chop it into pieces, burn it, give them back the ashes and go, we did that for you folks. I'm so grateful that you were here to take the ashes back off me after I'd had my fun with it. And if you don't like those ashes, don't worry, we can replace them with Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Indiana Jones might be a broken, helpless old man who cowers in the corner, but she's his patronizing goddaughter who takes the lead, because that's what we're given, and it's as bleak as it sounds. That's the review from BBC Culture. James Mangold, are you going to insult them and say they don't understand character arcs and they're just doing it to be divisive? I'm not even sure how it's divisive. Nearly everyone agrees with them. If you want to be divisive about Indiana Jones 5, you'd say you liked it. Not that I actually think it's negative to be divisive in the first place. James Mangold is just using it in that mainstream kind of way. Oh, you shouldn't be divided. Why? I mean, if everyone else said Indiana Jones 5 was amazing, I would still say it wasn't. I wouldn't care if I was being divisive. In fact, I'd be proud of it. I'd be the only person that was right. I don't know why anyone would be ashamed of having a divisive opinion, something that disagreed with everybody else. You really have to be the ultimate collectivist to think that not being divisive is a good thing. Oh, I may be wrong, but at least I agree with the majority. No, it doesn't matter whether you're divisive. It matters whether you're correct. And quite frankly, I don't know why I would want to unify with anybody who thinks the reason why people don't like their movie is because they can't understand character arcs. Despite the fact that everyone is going, it's because you've destroyed the character. No, very much in this case, they've used divisive in its negative terminology just to try to force people to agree, to shame them into it. All the good people are on our side. You don't want to be on that side, do you? Divided from the right side of history. No, if your movie's trash, I'd very much like to be divided from it. Thank you very much. And it's that same stench that lingers over Harrison Ford's thanking the fans. I mean, normally it'd be a great thing if you'd done it first. You can't have the director slapping people around the face and another guy going, thank you, we really appreciate your business. Could you turn the other cheek so we can do it again? Thank you. I really appreciate it. No, because it is so obviously imitating Tom Cruise's messages, we can actually compare them. They're in an entirely different league.
I've been honored to be your Indiana Jones.
And thank you for supporting Top Gun Maverick.
Every moment of this adventure has been made for you, the fans.
We gotta get this shot. We'll see you down there. Whoa.
Thank you for welcoming the man with the hat into your lives.
Very lucky. I'm running out of altitude!
Do they have the same air of authenticity to you? I mean, obviously, Harrison Ford's not going to be jumping out of too many planes. There is a 19-year difference between the two of them. You wouldn't really expect it. And Harrison Ford's video is admittedly better than other fan appreciation videos Disney has put out in the past.
It seems that some of the fan base have decided to attack Moses Ingram online. You're no Star Wars fan in my mind.
And on our most glorious days, we even get Mission Impossible and Disney universes crossing over. And when the multiverses clash, we find out the toxicity of Disney wins the day.
The Star Wars fan base really seems to be the most kind of toxic at the moment.
What can I say? The incessant hatred of the customer at Disney runs so deep it can even affect other franchises. Being around Tom Cruise, not enough to make Simon Pegg a decent human being. But the point is, this is something that Tom Cruise has done for a long time. He stands outside giving his signatures for fans for fun. He posts tweets about him doing it on his birthday. And even at the premiere of the movie, something which Harrison Ford could do, Tom Cruise still feels different when he says it.
Everyone here, that you've allowed me to entertain you. It's a privilege for me, and it's something that I have never taken for granted.
Because your intention shines through your work.
Constantly looking to increase my ability as a storyteller. What kind of skills can I improve to entertain the audience? It's all about how do I engage the audience.
We'll see you down there! Whoa!
And when you only do it because your movie's failing, so does your desperation. That's what makes it all the funnier when James Mangold is coming out and attacking the fans and saying it's everybody else's fault, that they just can't comprehend his genius. The Titanic is sinking, and you're still claiming it's not a problem with the design. Meanwhile, it's actually getting knocked off the top spot and beaten in the box office by Insidious: The Red Door. No, I've never seen the Insidious movies, but after I saw how successful they were, I kind of want to. These are movies which have grossed over $606 million worldwide for a budget budget of $42 million. And obviously that box office total at the top is going up as we speak. I mean, whatever you think of horror movies, you have to admire the business acumen. But if you're like, no, you're being a little bit harsh on Harrison Ford, he seems sincere to me. Well, there are interviews out there that show he's not really helping his own case very much, although there is this rather eye-opening piece to start.
In this era now where people are saying, I don't know if I want to go to the theater anymore. And
God, I hope to go to the theaters to see it.
Yeah, mate, I guess that didn't happen. But then he's really desperate to get people into those theaters. You've got to go to a movie. I mean, I hate cinemas myself. But what I didn't expect was for Harrison Ford to start attacking families.
Your family are not an audience. At home.
Dude, that's why I like watching movies at home. Because there isn't an audience. The problem with cinemas is the audience. It's very difficult to concentrate on a screen when there's someone with rattly bags next to you who can't stop grazing for 2.5 hours. But then he says this.
It's not fair to the movie. Give it a chance. Go to a movie theater.
If you don't watch a movie in a cinema, you're not giving it a chance. At home, I'm giving it more of a chance because I can concentrate on it without distractions. The screen's larger given the size, although I can understand when it comes to modern movies like Indiana Jones 5 or The Flash, both of those things would be a negative.
Be in the dark with strange people.
Okay, maybe he's more on my side than I thought.
How much does a movie cost?
$20, $25.
To lay down and have a nap.
Definitely more on side than I thought. Although it does seem like Harrison Ford won't be contributing much to the Indiana Jones 5 box office, personally.
When was the last time you bought a ticket and went into a movie theater?
And by the end of it, despite his earlier pleading, I wasn't even sure he knew what a cinema was.
I have seen movies on a big screen,
yes,
but there was nobody else in the room.
And we really got to see his inner thoughts about Indiana Jones 5 when he was asked when was the last movie you saw. I didn't think of it, because he couldn't even remember seeing Indiana Jones 5 himself.
Yeah. Weren't you just at the Cannes Film Festival? You probably saw some...
Yeah, I saw the new Indiana Jones movie.
Really shows how memorable your movie is when you forget about it, although it is completely understandable. Before the credits had finished, I'd already forgotten half the movie myself.
Yeah,
I've seen
that's
pictures
the last
of you.
time. That guy's really good.
Yeah.
I got in for free.
But what is interesting is how Hollywood and the access media basically work hand in glove. And so in the case of Indiana 5, where they rebel and start to give them mid-reviews, nobody really knows how to handle it. So James Mangold was asked by Variety what he thought of the muted reaction from critics. To which he said, when you're in franchise land, it's very hard for critical thinkers, meaning journalists. It's very difficult to take you seriously on any topic if you think that journalists are critical thinkers. To overlook what I'm sure their editors want, which is this business prism of how does it rate versus the other ones. Because I always thought if I was second or third of one of the greatest films of all time, I'd be good. In my opinion, you absolutely failed. Not for everyone though, because there are sites that put the Dial of Destiny in the top 3. Mainly because they call the Temple of Doom the racist one. But that aside, it's not even as if James Mangold seems to care about whether his movie is liked or not, or reviewed well or not. Which is weird for somebody who's been so sensitive to the plebs not liking it. But when it comes to the journalists, oh, I'll give them a bit of leeway. Because he takes the rather nihilistic approach of, I mean, it all vaporizes later. Either the movie will live, or it won't. A rather pragmatic attitude, although he probably didn't expect it to die after 2 weeks, or given the box office 2 days. In fact, even Variety's kind of like, oh, well, I'm surprised he took it in such a good-natured way. Must be his experience. So I was even surprised how animated he got when he brought up the future of Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Of all the things to get excited about the movie, if it's Phoebe, I think we found the person responsible for the failure. Because CBR, little bit rough. Because apparently Dial of Destiny touted itself as a femme-leaning film. No wonder it failed at the box office. That's basically money repellent. Not apparently knowing the cast of the movie, despite the fact that they're on a picture in front of you, they do say that Helena is the embodiment of colonialism. I tell you, I've been looking for English representation in movies for a long time, and you tell me the best thing I can get is Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I want a refund. But I'd actually planned to have been done with Indiana Jones after the last video. I didn't want to make another one or go back and go, oh, look, see, it's still failing. But when James Mangold can't shut his mouth and decides to come out and attack the fans, it's like, okay, here we go again. Time and time again, none of them can learn the lesson from the people that came before. But why should I be surprised? It's so obvious that titles like this don't work, that building your movie around this doesn't work, and yet they can't understand the lesson because they don't want to. Because it's not about giving the fans what they want, it's about how can we convince the fans to like what we're giving them. That's all that thank you message was, putting out 2 weeks late, filmed in what looks like his own kitchen. Come on mate, just spout this out for a bit, let's see if we can get a few more tickets because it isn't going well, is not the same authentic attitude that comes across when someone like Tom Cruise does it. And you do that at the same time that you're going around giving interviews, attacking the fans, calling them divisive, and saying they basically can't comprehend what you're doing. It's a story arc. They wouldn't get it. You couldn't even be bothered to shut your mouth to see if doing one tactic would work. You just couldn't resist coming out and blaming everyone else for your own failures. And look, I'm not knocking you, everybody fails. But most people don't cost companies in the region of $250 million when they do. So what can I say, James? At least you've produced something impressive after all, because I've not seen a black hole that big since I started looking at Gotham Knights viewing numbers, and it couldn't have happened to a nicer bloke. But those are just my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video, subscribe for more videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.